Hello, everybody. Welcome to It Was Tuesday with your host, James Chen, aka J Chenzor. Hope you guys are enjoying all the content that I've been putting up recently. If you do, please like and subscribe. Leave comments below for the algorithm and all that. And definitely give a follow, subscribe to the channel here so you can get all the notifications. All right, we got that out of the way. Let's actually talk about fighting games here. Oh man, dude, we are on some weird topic over here. No, Ryu and Ken were very different after starting from Champion Edition. So Ryu and Ken were the same character in Street Fighter 2, with Ken being slightly better than Ryu for one very small reason. And then Ryu and Ken had been very different from Champion Edition all the way. Yeah, kick throw. Ken's kick throw actually rolled when he threw, so he got more distance, so he had better corner carry with his throw. And that's the only reason why Ken was better. Anyways, actually, I mean, this kind of all fits into this because we're talking about Footsies and neutral and all this stuff like that. And so we're talking about these old games. No, outside of that Gundam Juhudikai, Ryu and Ken were exactly the same in Street Fighter 2. They were exactly the same. They were literally clones of each other, except for that kick throw. It's the only difference between the two. It was only until Champion Edition that when they actually diverged. And that's actually one of the coolest things. I mean, like, when you look at each game as they go, I mean, by the time we hit Street Fighter 5, Ken and Ryu's similarities all but vanished, right? Street Fighter 5 was really the first time that Ken became a really, like distinctly different character. I am still kind of sad they took away his heavy Tatsu from Street Fighter 5, because I still think it was one of the sickest Tatsus in Ken history. But in Street Fighter 6, I mean, I feel like Ryu and Ken might even be a little... no, that's kind of a lie. Ryu and Ken are still very, very different in 6, you know, in relation to 5 as well. So, Marvel Superheroes versus Street Fighter. Hey, to be fair, in Marvel versus Capcom 1, Ryu and Ken were literally the same character. Because this is its own topic in itself right here, is this Ryu and Ken topic over here. But remember, Ryu transformed into Ken in MVC1. Man, basically. Any case, let's talk about Footsies and neutral here in fighting games, because this has been the big topic of lately in the FGC discourse. Of course, every year I feel like every week it feels like there's some crazy new discussion, and it's been kind of brilliant because if you guys actually remember, I released like maybe a month before Street Fighter 6 came out, I had a video on my YouTube channel literally saying that you're going to hate Street Fighter 6 and Tekken 8 and Mortal Kombat 1, etc., etc. And we're finally reaching that point, and I'm like so happy because Street Fighter 6 has now been officially anointed as a real fighting game, because people have claimed that this game does not have real neutral, that it's scrubby, and its footsies are bad. Let's go. We're there. We are there, ladies and gentlemen. You're not a true fighting game until people start calling you scrubby and no actual neutral. And again, you know, I mean, let's talk about this a little bit. So obviously a particular player started calling it out a little bit. A couple of players, very prominent players as well. You know, I don't want to call them out because I don't want people like saying anything negative about them, but obviously most people already know a lot of this discourse is coming from Mena RD and Crossover from the Dominican Republic. And again, it is something... Okay, so the reason why there's this thing going on over here right now is because my blinds do not block out the sun particularly well. And we are at the phase of the year where right now, at the time that I actually run It was Tuesday. The sun gets right through the blinds, right onto my camera. Like literally onto the camera. I guess I should just try to flip the blinds maybe the other way to block it. But yeah, there's this here. So, you know, for those people listening, there's just literally like sun flare on my, on my visuals over here, which can be very distracting. All right, you know what? Look, I'm going to edit this part out. Remember to edit this part out. I probably won't, so I apologize. Let me see if I can flip the blinds really quick. Anyways. Alright, like I said, editing this section out, or I'll put it towards the end or something like that. So if you want to watch that whole thing that everybody in the chat's like, leave this in, James, this is entertaining, it'll probably be maybe towards the end or something like that. But in any case, let's get back to this Footsies thing. So yeah, we had players calling out, you know, Street Fighter 6 now, and like I said, this was largely Mena RD was talking about this, but Crossover I think is the one that kind of really sort of took it to that range again, right? So Mena RD was talking about, I mean, he basically said, like, I'm having the same experience 4 players had in 5. He feels like Street Fighter 6 is really scrubby, you know. But the thing is, Man RD admitted, like, he acknowledged the fact that this is all part of the pattern, right? How all the 4 players felt about 5. And like I said, I literally made a video saying you're going to hate Street Fighter 6. You know, and I was talking to the Street Fighter 5 players because it's not going to be anything like you expect it to be. In fact, at Capcom Cup, I remember having a conversation with Chris CCH. It was the same conversation I had with Ryan LV when MVCI was about to come out. Because he was, you know, dominating MVC3 at the end of its life cycle. He wanted to keep it going and become a sponsored player, etc. for MVCI. And I said, look, here's my professional advice, okay, as a veteran of the scene. I'm like, you're not going to like MVCI. It's not going to play anything like you want it to play. And it's going to be a completely different game. And if you want to have success as a sponsored player, you're going to have to accept the fact that the game is going to be different. And that doesn't make it bad. You're just going to have to learn something new. And I told that to Chris CCH at Capcom Cup because we were talking about that, and he was talking about being a sponsored player and, you know, wanting success. And I told him the exact same thing. I was like, look, the only way you're going to succeed in Street Fighter 6 is if you accept the fact that this game is not going to play anything like Street Fighter 5. It is going to be a completely different game, and you just have to roll with those punches. It's really kind of crazy because as Street Fighter 2 players, I don't know if we're spoiled or something, but like the fact that the game Street Fighter 2 changed pretty drastically between versions. I mean, you should have seen it when Super Turbo first came out. Oh my God, the amount of people complaining about supers in Super Turbo. Like being the scrubbiest thing. Oh, I could just throw this out anywhere and get 50% damage. This is so scrubby, you know, like people hated supers. They really freaking hated supers. But the thing about it is, this is what's going to happen, right? And so, you know, Crossover kind of doubled down a little bit over here. He said SF has changed over the years. Street Fighter used to be all about having a good neutral game, footsies, whiff punishing. But in Street Fighter 6, these fundamentals don't matter much. And this is where the conversation kind of went off the rails at this point. Because, again, I'm not trying to call out Crossover because literally he's just doing what everybody does. We all do this, okay? We all do this, okay? And it's just part of the cycle. But Crossover, you know I love you. You're way, way too young to make a claim like that. Because let me tell you something. In Street Fighter 2, whiff punishes practically didn't exist, okay? When you have moves like Zangief's standing light kick, where literally the last frame of the move is an active frame, and you have Chun-Li's crouching medium kick, which is like 13 frames. Medium kick is 13 frames. Most light buttons right now are 13 frames, okay? Chun-Li's crouching medium kick, I believe, is 13 frames. It was literally unwhiff punishable. I don't know if I have ever seen Chun-Li's crouching medium kick be whiff punished ever. Ever. The only thing that anybody ever whiff punished were very slow buttons like a Guile crouching medium kick or a Shoto sweep. And so, honestly, whiff punishing as a major footsies aspect of Street Fighter really started cropping up largely around the Street Fighter 3 series. Even in CVS 2, it wasn't even that big of a deal, and in fact, the reason why Sagat was so top tier is because his crouch fierce was basically unwhiff punishable. Like, people started figuring out, oh, we can whiff punish this and hit it in its recovery. But I swear to God, it was like hitting a one-frame link to whiff punish Sagat's crouching heavy punch. Like, whiff punishing wasn't even that big of a deal. It was only with 3, you know, and it sounds crazy because 3 sounds like the second game in the series. So, like, hasn't it been that way forever? Not really, because like I said, Capcom vs. SNK, the entire Alpha series, you know, they weren't as whiff punish oriented, right? And so, like, okay, so no one still whiff punishes Sagat crouching heavy punch. Yeah, that's why roll cancel saved CVS 2, is that roll cancel was the way to beat Sagat crouching heavy punch. But, I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, neutral game footsies, whiff punishing, blah, blah, blah. And here's another thing, too, right? Like, footsies and neutral in all fighting games is the thing that you are forced to do, right? So let's say eventually, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a good analogy with this, but like, those are the things that you have to do, but if you are good at fighting games, you will do it as little as possible. All fighting games. This is one of those constructs that, like, well, this is one of those, you know, fighting game axioms out there. This is one of those fighting game truths out there, is that your goal in a fighting game is not to let the other person play. This has been the truth for fighting games since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of time. If you jump at me and I'm Ken and hyper fighting and I light DP you and I walk up to you because I am plus 1,000,000 after an anti-air DP and I do crouching light kick and you do not block that crouching light kick, the game is over. The round ended. That's it. I anti-aired you once. I walk up, meaty crouching light kick. You didn't block. The round is over. The round is actually over because I will do low short, CPS 1 chain into fierce into light DP. You're stunned, fierce DP. You are dead. Like, guaranteed. Even with the random damage in hyper fighting, you are dead. Right? Like, there is no point in any fighting game where you want to play footsies or the neutral. Every game has been like this. I mean, like, and the thing is, don't get me wrong, because even in games like Exerd, for example, Exerd has some of the most intricate neutral and footsies possible. UMVC 3 right now has some of the best neutral and footsies in fighting games. But my God, when you actually land a hit, like, you do not want the other person to ever play again. In both of those games, your hope is that the other person never plays ever again until the next round, right? Now, Street Fighter V is like infamous for that, right? Street Fighter V, like, it's really interesting because, you know, a lot of people in Street Fighter 4, when they got to Street Fighter 5, they're like, this is the least footsies game ever, right? It's like you whatever, and then this guy gets in a dash, and you can't check dashes, they get in, they knock you down, and then all of a sudden you have to guess for your life, right? I mean, Street Fighter V is one of the most terrifying fighting games that I have ever played. Every time I get knocked down in Street Fighter V, I swear to God, I have a panic attack. Like, that game, I feel like, has taken years off of my life and given me gray hairs. I don't have gray hairs. Woo! Anyways, so maybe it didn't give me gray hairs, but it definitely gave me a heart attack. Any case, knock on wood, pride comes before a fall, ladies and gentlemen. But Street Fighter V is actually like one of the games that people have complained about in terms of lack of footsies and lack of neutral. They hated crush counters. They hated the priority system. And let me tell you right now, oh yeah, button into V trigger. Button into V trigger is one of the most bypassy neutral things in the world. And I will tell you this. No, you cannot call a fighting game a game with honest footsies and real neutral that has EX Zonk Knuckle. Level 2 EX Zonk Knuckle, yes. Okay, you have to hold the buttons for a time. But as long as you have EX Zonk Knuckle in a game, there are no honest neutral. This is not a game with honest neutral, okay? Like, seriously, this is just, it's honest neutral is what you enjoy the most. I love Super Turbo. I love Super Turbo. It's my favorite fighting game to play. You all know this. I love this game. And when I hear Super Turbo fans tell me that Super Turbo is fundamentals and the most honest footsies ever, I laugh. Vega off the wall, Honda headbutt. I mean, like, dude, footsies? Tiger, 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 tiger. How long do you want me to do this for? There ain't nothing honest about the Balrog. Balrog low dash punch, ladies and gentlemen, is plus on block, okay? The move that goes raw and hits you low from literally 60% across the screen in like 5 frames or something like that is plus unblock. If he goes raw and jumps, you are out of block stun until he is at the peak of his jump. If he does low dash punch into hold up forward, you aren't free to move until Balrog is at like the peak of his jump. Like, there's nothing honest about Street Fighter Super Turbo footsies. There's nothing honest about Third Strike footsies, right? Like, Yun invalidates all of that. Like, if you take away Urien and Oro's unblockable, they become unplayable in the game. You actually make it so that they are not capable of winning anymore if you take away their unblockable setups. Fighting games have never had honest footsies, honest neutral. We enjoy the game that we got used to. We learn to live with it, and everything that everyone is complaining about, like drive rushes and stuff, will start becoming less of a problem. There probably will be some balance patches about it. Why are so many people making up fairy tales about previous game? Ask Stoneface Griff. It's your first love. It's your first love, man. You never forget your first love, honestly. And that's why I'm not mad at Crossover, why I'm not mad at MenRD, which is why I actually said to these players, this is exactly what's going to happen, is that you're not going to like the game because it's not going to play the way that you remembered, especially for the people who have only played one game. Like I said, it's already super mature. that Mena RD acknowledged that, and he's saying, I'm having the same experience 4 players had in 5, right? He's playing a new game, and it's not what he wants. It's not what made him a 2-time Capcom champion. And of course, when you are the best at a certain thing, that's how you're going to want to play it, right? That's just all it is. Yeah, that's true too. Mike Lee brings up a good point. Also, it's misconceptions and misinformation. A lot of people that repeat things like ST is honest footsies aren't usually ST players, but people that think they heard ST players say that. It's true. It's absolutely true. A lot of times people are like, oh yeah, weren't these games all about fundamentals? No, that's just because all the people who are stuck in the past are saying, man, old games were all about fundamentals. And so you're just like, you make this natural leap like, oh yeah, this game is about fundamentals and stuff. Yeah, no, yeah, see, that's the thing, right? Speedwagon says, I love / respect ST, but my lord, is it stupid? LOL. And as a person who loves Super Turbo to death, I agree. I saw Alucard complaining about Super Turbo one time on Facebook. He was just like, man, like, this game has no whiff punishing. It has no hit confirms. He was like, all this stuff, this is really stupid. Like, this game is garbage. How do all these old players love this game so much? And I was like, you know, I don't agree with you at all, but I 100% respect your opinion on this because I don't think you're wrong. I mean, he is wrong. There are hit confirms, there are footsies, etc., etc. But the thing is, what we define as footsies is based on largely what we want. So I'm a terrible whiff punisher, which is why I've been good at past games, right? Because they weren't about whiff punishing. So again, what a lot of people don't realize is old games weren't about whiff punishing footsies. They were about hitbox footsies, right? So if I'm Ryu versus Zangief, I don't whiff punish things, I beat it. So, for example, Ryu and Ken suffer against Zangief's standing medium kick. Zangief's standing medium kick is really, really powerful tool because it kicks really far and it blows up Shoto's really badly. But Shoto's then learned that crouching strong beats standing medium kicks. Why? Because of the way that the hitboxes work. So now Ryu and Ken start spamming crouching medium punch. But crouching medium punch loses to Zangief's sweep. Why? Because of hitboxes. So Zangief can sweep the crouching heavy kick. Well, it just so happens that Ryu and Ken can also crouching light kick a bunch, and that beats Zangief's crouching heavy kick. So they can crouching light kick and beat the sweep. But Zangief's standing medium kick beats the crouching light kick. So now they go into the crouching. So again, it's not about whiff punishing, it's hitbox fighter. So a lot of times when I was trying to play Street Fighter V, and even still this happens to me when I try to play Street Fighter 6, for the longest of time, the reason why I play badly, and when you guys watch me play, that's the reason I'm hitting buttons so goddamn much in neutral. I often praise someone like K-Brad for being so good with Cammy because he doesn't hit buttons at all. And that's just like unfathomable to me. Like, I gotta hit buttons because in Super Turbo it was like, I predict you're gonna do this, hit this button to beat it. I predict you're gonna do this, I'm gonna hit this button to beat it. But you never got whiff punished for it. Like, nobody's whiff punishing my Cammy crouching medium kick. Cammy's crouching medium kick doesn't even have a hurt box at her toes. I can meaty crouching medium kick Shotos with Cammy so that I hit him with the tip of my foot and they cannot wake up DP it. If they wake up DP, it whiffs. And then I can punish their DP. Like, I literally have a 100% safe meaty with Cammy against Shoto's crouching against Shoto's with my crouching medium kick. Okay, Alpha 2, yeah, that's a different thing, right? with the activation, that's a different thing, right? Yeah, Honda and Zangief, because they have moves that have no recovery frames. Honda standing jab, I mean, he has had the same thing. His could actually just jab you at ranges where if you DP'd it would whiff. But Zangief's standing light kick, like I said, has literally 0 recovery frames. The last frame of Zangief's standing light kick is an active frame. So if I do meaty standing light kick and you wake up DP and I time it so my light kick hits on the last frame, you can't even hit me with the DP. Because I will just recover and block. Like, it's kind of silly. So again, like, it's just what you're used to is what you enjoy. And that's why my advice as a veteran player, having played all these games, is you're not going to like it. And that's just something you're going to have to internally accept if your goal is to be a pro player. Now, let's put it this way. If you're not Mena RD, and you're just, hey, I grew up on Street Fighter V, I love this game, I hate Street Fighter 6, don't play it anymore. And I'm not saying this as a hater, because you're not supposed to like every fighting game. It's impossible unless you're me and we're not talking about Street Fighter Cross Tekken. You're supposed to not like every fighting game. They're all super different from each other. Like, you don't have to play it. Play the fighting games you enjoy. Like, just do, please, you know? I think you could still get a match of Street Fighter V. I would imagine so. I know 4 was still played a lot, but 5 definitely has a little bit harsher of reputation. Keiju Kaze, don't even get me started. I freaking hate Street Fighter Cross Tekken so much. I hate that game so much. In any case, so again, I don't think Mena RD did anything wrong. I really don't, Drake's Revenge. And let me see what you said over here. The problem with Mena Bringer is because he is such a great player. It validates people are struggling and gives them excuses because Mena said it. Yeah, there is definitely a lot of truth to that. That because he is a person with a large visible audience, that it causes issues. But like I said, I don't think Mena RD's tweet was anything... well, I mean, he did say Street Fighter 6 is the scrubbiest Street Fighter I've played. So, yeah. I guess that's kind of bad. So, it is tough. I mean, they 100% have the ability to speak their mind. And I don't think that's a problem. But that's why it's important for people like... That's why it's important for people like me, who are a veteran in the scene, to correct them. To actually offer the counterpoint, right? You see all of the old school players are just like... they just like, they laugh, and it's just like, whatever, dude. Whatever. Welcome to Street Fighter. Like, honestly, yeah, if you break any Street Fighter down to its faults alone, you can make all of them look bad. And that's just the way it is. And let's address this a little bit, okay? What is it that it's also not important to tweet after a tournament loss? Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk. I mean, dude, salty about them booms? Like, that is literally where Street Fighter started. That's where Street Fighter started. I don't think he tweeted that after DTN. He tweeted that after an online tournament, wasn't it, I believe? But in any case, you can't be salty about Sonic Booms because that's literally where Street Fighter started. Guile was the first best character, and he just Sonic Boomed you to death in Street Fighter 2. The only character that could fight him was Dalsum. Literally, the only character that could fight Guile in Street Fighter 2 was Dalsum. That's it. That's it. Oh, he lost the Knuckle Dude. Got it. Okay. Yeah, but we're not even talking about glitches. It's just the way Guile was in classic Street Fighter 2. He was overpowered. You could not beat him. He had like 19 anti-airs, and all of them were legit. Like, all of them was legit. And so if he ever threw a Sonic Boom and you jumped, he had like 19 different ways to anti-air you. And like, it was so, like what were you supposed to do? You couldn't hit him from the front. You couldn't jump at him over a Sonic. It was brutal. The only reason why Dalsum could fight him was that he had stuff like Crouching Heavy Punch, which could go under Sonic Booms. And the very last frame of his Crouching Heavy Punch never actually returned to normal height. so he could punch Guile with a crouching heavy punch and then get up and block the sonic boom. Like, even if the sonic boom was literally on top of Dhalsim after he punched the legs of Guile, he could block the sonic boom. You know, things like that. And then I don't even remember if he could do that in World Warrior. That might not even have been a World Warrior thing. I don't know if he could punch under that. I'll have to go back and check. But how do I feel about the throw input now that I move my buttons over? It's not bad unless I try to think about... I definitely get lost every once in a while that my hands are in the wrong place. If I have my hands in the right place, I can throw just fine. It's really just about if I ever shift my hands to hit drive impact or whatever, I get Guitar Hero'd, as I say. But let's talk about this a little bit more detail here, because clearly the thing that's making people frustrated is the drive rush, right? And again, I'm not going to discount their complaints because the drive rush is very powerful. When the game first dropped, I mean, one of the first things I said about the game, and I said, this is the mechanic. I was like, this is the mechanic of the game, right? Just like V-Trigger was the mechanic of Street Fighter V. What dominated Street Fighter V was the V-Trigger, right? Whether you were a good character or not in Street Fighter V, outside of Karin, and she was a very, very a specific case. But your V-Trigger determined if you were a good character or not in Street Fighter V. But V-Trigger was the thing. Button into V-Trigger that was it. That was it. Like, that's the game. And a lot of people still think button into V-Trigger, getting you free plus frames, is one of the scrubbiest things in Street Fighter V. But if you grew up in Street Fighter V and that's all you know, you've just accepted that as part of your life, right? Like in Street Fighter 2, if you get hit by one Hadouken, you have to block for like the next 5 seconds, because if you get hit by another Hadouken, you'll be dizzy. Literally, if you get hit by a fireball and then Ryu throws another fireball and you walk into that fireball, you're stunned. You're stunned. And they get a free 60% combo on you. Like, but we're used to that back in the days of hyper fighting. We're fine with that. And so Codebox Game, you know, in the chat says that naked drive rush is easy to stuff or parry. No. So here's the thing, right? Again, it's important to extract the truth out of what people say, right? It is easy to stuff, but it's not easy to stuff. The thing about it is, bad players, it's easy to stuff. Good players, it's harder, because there's a lot to add around it. There's a lot of weird little extra things that you can do with it. There are certain moves that could make your stat, like there are some moves that when you drive rush and do the button, I swear your character stops for a second and then keeps sliding with the button because of the way that the move works. And so when you try to check it, you stick a button out and you go button and the guy stops and then comes forward and then hits you. And you're just like, really? And maybe a little bit of it is, I mean, 2+, too easy to link up. I mean, that Idom clip where he's like, this jury player is gonna drive rush, and she drive rush and hit medium kick. Idom hit a button to check it. Jury's medium kick hit with the first hit and got a counter hit. Remember, Jury's medium kick hits twice. The first hit, Idom was so far away that the second hit whiffed. The second hit whiffed, and Jury still comboed into a crouching medium kick and killed Idom. Like, when you see things like that, you're kind of like, But the thing about it is, the truth of the matter is, okay, let's keep talking about drive rush, because I just want to make sure I finish this topic here before I get to kind of like my conclusion. Does drive rush need to be nerfed a little bit? Probably in some way, but again, a universal drive rush nerf hurts bad characters even more, right? So like Zangief, if you make it so drive rushes are counter hit all the time, or if they extend a giant hurt box when you activate a drive rush, you know, that does hurt characters like Zangief a lot more. But to be fair, as Logan said, Zangief sucks already. He just needs different buffs. I mean, for me, I don't even mind if it became a counter hit state or whatever, but I think that's a good, fair change to Drive Rush, is that when the opponent activates a Drive Rush, it just adds a big hurt box in front of them that travels with them even after they hit the button. So once they hit a button, it stays there for maybe like 4 frames, right? So that just at least makes it so that checking is consistent. That's all I want it to be, is that if you read the Drive Rush and they come at you and you hit a button, it should be consistent that you should be able to stop them. Whether they hit the button early, late, or do some weird stagger or distance that they do it with, you know, it should be consistent in checking them, I think. That's one of the things that makes Drive Impacts good, is because it doesn't matter what distance, timing, or whatever, as long as you Drive Impact the Drive Impact, you win. Like, the game just says, that's it, you win. There's nothing the other guy can do. So if there's a consistency to countering Drive Impact. The problem with Drive Rush is that there is no consistency to countering it. Not eating your inputs is 100% what everybody wants. I don't think there is a single human on the planet that doesn't want it to stop eating your inputs. That is something that needs to be fixed, needs to be changed. 100%. 100% that needs to be fixed. So hopefully that'll get changed at some point in time, because that needs to go away. That 100% needs to go away. That's the thing. The complaint is justified that Drive Rush is strong. The complaint is justified that Drive Rush is really strong. There are a lot of ways to nerf it. However, the conclusion that I want to go into is that Drive Rush is honest footsies. It's 100% honest footsies for Street Fighter 6. You know why? Because it's in the game. You know why? Because everybody has it. It is honest footsies for Street Fighter 6. Just like heavy kick into V-trigger activation is honest footsies for Street Fighter 5. Just like VIACC is honest footsies for Street Fighter Alpha 2. Just like, I mean, again, this example can go on and on and on and on and on. For the game, it's honest footsies. Get used to it. Not wanting a fighting game. I mean, someone asked me one time, I already told everybody I hate Street Fighter Cross Tekken. Someone asked me, how would you change Street Fighter Cross Tekken to be fun? And I listed all these things, and I realized I was just trying to turn it into Super Turbo. I was like, yo, I'm just trying to make this game Super Turbo. Like, again, honest footsies is what you enjoy and what you like, right? Honest footsies is what you enjoy. But if you're playing the game, that's honest footsies. Even what I remember, I talked about Lord Knight's statement when he was like, you know, I really didn't like Strive at first, but it's really turned into a really solid, fun game. And everybody was mad at Strive at first. They're like, there's no footsies in this game. Like, this is game, the neutral's really stupid and da-da-da-da. No, Strive's footsies are great for Strive. Exerd's footsies are great for Exerd. Marvel 2's footsies are very different than UMVC3's footsies. Extremely different. And if you don't play either one of those games and you watch them, they look exactly the same to you. But if you talk to an MVC2 player and an MVC3 player, they are completely different footsies. The super jump mechanic alone is a massive, massive, massive change. Like, people don't know that super jumps in MVC2, if you super jump, you're like, woo! But in, like, UMVC3, if you super jump forward and hold back, you go, whoosh, and you barely go backwards. But in MVC2, if you super jump, you're just like, yow! Like, you go everywhere. And in MVC2, you turned around when you went over people. You automatically turned around. In UMVC3, you don't turn around. In UMVC2, you super jumped everywhere. You super jumped everywhere. In UMVC 3, you don't super jump as much. People have said UMVC 3 is played more this way. MVC 2 is played more this way. They're extremely different from each other. But the footsies in UMVC 2 work. The footsies in MVC 2 work for MVC 2. The footsies for UMVC 3 work for UMVC 3. And that's the thing. There is no such thing as real footsies. There is no such thing as real footsies. Footsies are whatever the game has decided to make it. That's it. That's the conclusion. That is the truth behind everything. If you hate the neutral and footsies of a game, it's because it's not what you want it to be. And this is one of the things that I've learned when I played Street Fighter V, when I played Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter V was one of the games that really helped actually educate me on this because Street Fighter V is such a different game. When I first played it, I couldn't win with Cammy because I was trying to play Street Fighter 4. I was trying to play old school Street Fighter, and switching to Lucia forced me to learn Street Fighter V, and then I came away with a different appreciation for Street Fighter V. I understood why it was a completely different game. Having said all that, I mean, like, if we want to, God, like, yeah, it's just different for every game. There's no way to say anything is true footsies, right? Because like I said, UMVC 3's neutral is about as real as it gets. UMVC 3's neutral is one of the hypest and most exciting things ever. If you don't understand the game, you're not going to see the nuances. But one of the reasons why people love UMVC 3 these days is because the neutral in UMVC 3 is so good. It is immaculate the way footsies works in UMVC 3. But the thing about it is that's so different than Street Fighter V. And for me, for example, as an old schooler, I will tell you, I think hyper fighting has some of the most pure footsies ever. But that's just because, like I said, it's hitbox fighter, right? That's what I enjoy. I love Shotos doing stand light kick to pull their hurt box back. So you walk up into a Shoto sweep range, you standing light kick, they sweep and miss, and then you sweep punish their sweep. Like, that shit is sick. Like, to me, every time I watch that, like when I did the hyper fighting commentary at the 82, you know, with the hyper fighting tournament, like, I was just like, this is real footsies, man. This is what neutral's all about. And that's just because that's what I enjoy. That's what I like. But again, how similar are the footsies in UMVC 3 and hyper fighting? And I'll tell you that both of those games have some of the best neutral and best footsies in fighting games ever. And they're nothing alike. They're nothing alike. I mean, Minute can totally be salty about Guile. I'm salty about Ken, okay? I hate Ken in this game. I really freaking hate Ken in this game. Stand Fierce is a crime against humanity. I have said this a million times and I'll keep saying it because that standing heavy punch hits way too goddamn far and gives you way too goddamn much on a punish counter and is drive rush cancelable. Almost no character has a drive rush cancelable button from that goddamn far away that on block puts you in so much block stun that if he's wrong and you block and he drive rushes, he's still way in the advantage. He's still way in the advantage. That standing heavy, dude, Ken's standing medium kick reaches farther than Cammy's standing medium kick. Why does Ken's standing medium kick reach farther than Cammy's standing medium kick and has and if you press the button and you saw them whiff something, it also combos into a target combo? Why? Why does Ken why is Ken in range to throw you after heavy dragon lash? Why? Why is he in range to throw you when so many other plus moves are not like that? Why does Ken get that? Any case, as you can see, I'm salty about Ken, and so like I said, I totally get Mena being salty about Guile. He has every right to be salty about Guile because there are always going to be, every fighting game that comes out that I play, I always pick my rival, not intentionally, but every game, as soon as that character shows up, I'm like, I hate you. Like, I hate this. I hate Ken in Street Fighter 6. In 5, I hated Honda. I also hated Alex for a long time. In Soul Calibur, Siegfried was like my kryptonite. Every game I have one, and Ken is mine currently in Street Fighter 6 because I just don't understand why he gets to get away with every goddamn thing. Oh! Dragon Lash also low crushes. It low crushes. It's plus on block. The animation startup is not that crazy. Like if Ken went, huh, and then Dragon Lashed, let's all talk about that. Let's all talk about that, okay? Let's talk about the fact if Ken just went, let's go, Dragon Lash. Like, totally fair move. Totally fair move. But the fact that Dragon Lash starts by, which is the most subtle animation in the world. We're going back to that, you know what? Has Ken ever been better than Ryu? Conversation that this thing started with. Oh, man. But in any case, that's just the thing. Mena can totally be salty about it. And like I said, I don't want to blame Crossover or Mena on anything. They both know that I love them, and I think the DR is still strongest scene in North America right now. Despite Mena being frustrated with the game, he's still clearly one of the best. Kaba's still clearly one of the best. And obviously Kaba has no complaints because Guile can still play a lot like Guile. So he's like, this game feels fine to me. Kaba's probably sitting there the whole time watching Mena Crossover complain. He's probably like, he's like, I'm fine with Guile. But in any case, the main point, the whole thing comes down to is there's no such thing as a real Footsies. There's no such thing as neutral. Whatever your game tells you the Footsies is and the neutral is, that's the real neutral. That's the real Footsies for that game. Whether you enjoy it or not is cool. But it is never a valid complaint to say that this other game has real Footsies and real neutral compared to this game. That will never be a valid complaint because, again, it's different for every game. And on top of that, all the best characters in every single one of those games are the characters who can avoid real Footsies and neutral as much as possible. Why are Virgil and Zero so strong in UMVC 3? Because they are some of the best characters at skipping neutral. You know, in Street Fighter 5, why is Dalsum one of the best characters in that game? Because he got to skip all of it. He didn't care. He was the only character that could get plus frames in the mid-screen off of a forward throw. And then he just teleports everywhere. He doesn't care, right? Like, literally every fighting game, the best character has almost always been the one to skip neutral. The only exception might be Luke in Street Fighter 5. But Luke also has Sandblaster, which is a skip neutral move all by itself. So even then, Luke is probably not valid. Third Strike Chen, not valid. She's the only character in the game that has the ginormous cancel window for her crouching medium kick that reaches really, really far. And for some reason can be single hit confirmed. Not only that, she has, if I'm not mistaken, the second farthest Kara throw in the game. And so between those two broken things, that's what makes her really, really strong, right? And yeah, and her crouching medium kick is not whiff punishable. So again, while it fits some people's definition of Footsies, like, oh, look, no, it doesn't fit the definition of Footsies because not everybody has it. Not everybody has these tools and can't store two Hoyokusens so she can delete you in one sequence. Hit you and then mix up and you die, right? That's why I say Drive Rush is true Footsies, because everybody has it. It's not equal. Guess what? A lot of the characters who have bad Drive Rushes are not top tier. Like I said, the top tier characters are the one that skip neutral. Chun-Li's ability to crouching medium kick, single hit confirm into super, and Kara throw you from super far away bypass the neutral of what it... Ganejin is the stupidest neutral bypassing tool ever. Activate, and now you lost. By activating a super, he's bypassed neutral. And you're just like, what am I supposed to do to this character, right? Again, that's just kind of how it works. So, I mean, it depends. Dalsum's never been bad. And even though people rate Dalsum low in Street Fighter 6 right now, give it a few more months. Give it a few more months. God, dude, don't even talk to me about El Fuerte Drake's Revenge. Don't even talk to me. Right, but that's the thing is, if the Footsies, so neutral, there are rules to Footsies that work, right? You know, the idea of the Footsies triangle of whiff punishing, beating pokes beating moving forward, beating whiff punishes, etc., etc. That's still true in a lot of fighting games. It's the fundamentals of Footsies. But the thing about it is every game takes each of those aspects and stretches them out in all sorts of different ways, right? It's just very, very different. And Dalsum's only been bad at CVS2. Yeah, it's probably true. Pepe Day had godlike run stop Footsies with Fuerte. Exactly. That shit wasn't Footsies. That shit not Footsies in a game that nobody else could handle that, dude. Oh man. SCBW SC2? Are you talking about? Oh, StarCraft. I was like Soul Calibur. Yeah, no, it's true, because StarCraft 2, they tried to fix a lot of things and people didn't like it, right? People liked Brood War more, if I'm not mistaken, right? It's just the same thing again, right? It's the same situation. It's always that way. It still astounds me how balanced the StarCraft races are, given how they play extremely different. Yeah, it's easier to balance 3 versus a fighting game kind of situation. And definitely a lot easier. So, anyways, this is way more about the neutral than I thought I was going to talk about. But again, appreciate the game that you're playing and learn how to exist in the game you're playing. And that is one of the biggest advantages of old school players, right? I'm going to do the thing again where like old men, old people, you know, and the reason why I'm going to say that is because we played every fighting game, because while we waited with our quarter on the machine, we were bored, so we would go play other games, right? And because of that, we've just gotten a lot more used to the idea that every game just plays really, really different. I mean, Air Hyper Viper Beam in MVC2 was discovered on day 1. Air Hyper Viper Beam invalidated like 80% of the cast. And yet, somehow, people love MVC2. A game that has Air Hyper Viper Beam in it, people love this game, and it has some great neutral Footsies. How? It's because people will enjoy what they enjoy. It's like people said in the chat. What you enjoy, the jank that you are willing to put up with will be true Footsies for you. That's it. So, okay, there we go. That's enough about Footsies. That's enough about neutral. Again, I just want to make sure this is understood. I'm not trying to call out meta or crossover at all. I completely understand where they're coming from. And had I had a chance to talk to them at Capcom Cup and warn them about this, I would have, like I did for Chris CCH and for Ryan LV for the Marvel stuff, right? This is one of the things I like to tell people a lot. This is just something that you have to understand about fighting games. It's different for games like Tekken because they don't change as drastically, but even then they still change. But look at how many people are already mad about the heat system in Tekken 8, right? Like, they're gonna find out. They're gonna find out very soon. They're gonna find out very soon. All right. If I can reach them in any case. Ouch! Just can't fit. Not enough space here in my studio section. Oh my god. Alright. I think I'm alive. Temporarily. Oh god, this is not gonna work unless I can get to the rest of this. Oh no. Oh god. I hate these kinds of blinds, by the way. They are the worst kind of blinds in the world. I really should change them one of these days, but I do not have the facilities to change them right now. Ugh. Boy, this turned out to be way harder than I thought. Ow! Jesus Christ. Okay. You guys have no idea how small my stream space is. And so everything that I have in this space basically makes it so there's no room to walk anywhere. Okay. That should work. All right. Now, I need to make it back to my chair without killing myself because there are cables and wires everywhere. Hang on. Oh. Oh, Lord. My cat is looking at me like I'm insane. Ugh. And it's still there. What the Why is this particular slat rotated way more than all the other ones? I hate these kind of blinds. They were installed when I moved in here and they've just, whatever. Whatever. Do not cut this out. It's not cat hair. It's literally sun. It's literally the sun. It is absolutely the sun. All right. Dude, you don't understand. Like, there is literally no room. There's no room for me to get to the window over here. Because basically that whole section over there requires me to squeeze in between my table and the wall because there's like no space. And then I have to get over there, and then I was trying to flip up. So the worst thing about these kind of blinds is if some of the slats they can get caught backwards. So when you actually try to open them up, they won't rotate. So you have to flip them all to make sure that they're facing the correct direction. And I could only reach 1/2 of the window blinds from one side because I can't make it through this side over here. So I went all the way over there, found out that this side over here did not have all the slats in the correct rotation. So I had to come back all the way around, come over here, flip them to the right side, then go all the way back and go over there. And then actually flip and rotate them, these ones over here, so that I could actually 180 all the slats, and it didn't fix it anyway. It's not, I mean, one, I am a hoarder, but this is not a hoarder thing. I mean, good God. Let me see here. Do I have the ability... Let's see, which camera is this? This camera is the HD60, right? Oh, it's this one right here. Yes, okay. So do I actually have access to the other camera over here? Let's see here. The NVIDIA broadcast has that. If I switch this to over here, do I get it? Yes, I do. Okay. So if I do this, like so, this is the situation over here. This wall right there is where I'm trying to move these stupid blinds over here. But because this table is right next to that wall, there is literally no space between that wall and this table and the CRT. So I have to come all the way around here. That table right there is right next to the wall over there, so I have to barely squeeze my fat ass through the back wall over there to get to this side so I can actually grab that wire, you know, the flip the blinds over here. But I didn't realize that half didn't have it, so I had to come back over here, squeeze my fat ass through here, come all the way back around to this side, fix these blinds over here, and then come back all the way around again so that I can actually flip those blinds there. That's what I did. A lot of the times when it gets dark without these lights, it's too dark. So I have to have the professional lighting. So the professional lighting has to be there. So... Can't you stand over the chair and reach the top? Yeah, that might have actually worked now that you mention it. Maybe that actually would have worked. In any case, basically I just turned my dining room into my streaming station. This is the dining room space. This is all dining room over here, basically. That's my living room over there. If you guys saw the stream on Kayane's stream this past weekend, we were all set up over there in the living room. And so this is just the dining room. My kitchen's right there. That's why it's so easy for me to transition to go feed my cats. This is just the dining room space, and I have never used my dining room really for eating. So I was just like, I'll turn it into my stream station, and it works great. It works really, really wonderful as a streaming station area. So, because it's out of the way, I don't have to kill my living room or my bedroom or whatever like that. And so it's actually really nice how it's set up. However, the dining room space is really, really small. Right, exactly, Drake's Revenge. It's really, really small. And this unit also has very, very, very little storage. And that's why my home is just bursting out with crap all over the place, dude. It's crazy. Thank you guys for watching here. For those of you who are on Twitch, obviously, I'm going to be continuing going with these other topics over here. But for those of you here on YouTube, thank you guys for watching. And please please like and subscribe if you enjoy this. Also, add a comment down there. How would you nerf Drive Rush? How would you nerf Drive Rush that isn't just like excising it from the game? How would you nerf it? Let me know in the comments below if you've made it this far. If you've made it this far, thank you very much. Kudos to you guys. Let me know in the comments that you made it to this point. And then I will, and please like and subscribe, and hope you guys have been enjoying all the content that I've been putting out on the channel. And hopefully you'll continue to look for stuff. Sorry that I've been a little slow on the first attacks. Was really busy this past weekend. I just didn't have a chance to record anything. So hopefully I'll get a new first attack video for you guys very soon. In any case, have a good night, or morning, or afternoon, wherever you are when you're watching this on YouTube. I will see you guys next time. And remember, the day that this podcast graced your ears was the most important day of your life. But for me,
it was Tuesday.